Thanks again to all of you who have subscribed already, and if you haven't, please do so. It'll help us bring you more videos. Today we're going to be replacing the coils in a 2011 Hyundai Accent with the 4-cylinder 1.6, which you're also going to find in a lot of your Kias. The check engine light was on, sometimes flashing, the car was jerking a lot, no power. I plugged in my computer and it gave the code for a misfire, which in my experience when you have a cylinder misfire code, 90% of the time it's your coil. Most of you probably don't have a diagnostic code reader, but don't worry, you can usually go to a major parts store and they often offer free check engine light testing. Coils can be pretty expensive and many mechanics will tell you just to replace all of them at once, but I've found if I can just find the one that's bad and replace it, oftentimes I've got another 10,000 miles out of the rest of my coils. So the trick is finding out which one is bad. To do that, you're going to need a computer, the diagnostic computer, either yours or the parts store. I figure out what the computer said at the beginning. I switch the coil packs to another cylinder. So I'll switch all of them to different cylinders, keep track of which ones I switched. Then clear the code, run the car. When the check engine light comes back on, I read the code again and find out now where it's misfiring. And that's where my bad coil is. First things first, we're going to remove the engine cover. 4 10mm bolts, nice and easy. So you're going to push in this little tab as you kind of wiggle it free. So for these two, you're going to want to get rid of this wiring harness cover. There's 3 10mm bolts, 2 here, 1 here. And up. Something to pull against. Sometimes also you can kind of get a screwdriver in here and just kind of help pop it loose. Again, 10mm. So right now I'm replacing all of them, so it doesn't really matter which one is which. None of these are going back in. Most of the time a coil is bad. You can't really tell from the outside. It's an internal failure. But every once in a while you get lucky. So this one, I can actually see burn marks where the spark is coming out of the boot and grounding onto the engine. So that's definitely a bad coil. If you haven't done the spark plugs on your car, now is a great time to do it. They're cheap, and bad spark plugs will actually cause coils to fail sooner than they normally would. Better to replace some cheap spark plugs than quite expensive coils. And when you do buy spark plugs, make sure you get the OEM replacement. Don't go an aftermarket off-brand. I've had experience in the past where that will cause even brand new coils to fail. Before you go to too much trouble, compare the old one to the new one. Make sure that the plug style is the same, that the mounting hole is in the same place, and that they're the same length and going to connect properly with your spark plug. So make sure you don't get a plug trapped underneath the coil at any point. Kind of see it settle. Definitely don't want to over torque these. Make sure when you're plugging them in you get that nice click. So there you go, simple job. Just make sure you replace those spark plugs if you're at the right interval. They're like $2.50 a piece, so it makes sense to do. If you like this video, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time.